Oh, hello there. Let me show you what I got in today. This is the Anbernic RG Vita. I know, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? I used to own the real thing, the Sony PS Vita, one of my all-time favourite handhelds. I sold it years ago and I've regretted it ever since. So when Anbernic dropped this, it definitely hit a nerve. It looks like a Vita, it feels like a Vita, sort of. But here's the big question, does it actually play like a Vita? Just to let you know, Anbernic very kindly sent this unit over for me to try out. No envelopes changed hands under the table, and all thoughts are entirely my own. They never got to see this before you guys. Right, before we get to the meats and potatoes of all this, let's take a look at what we have here. I've got to say, Anbernic have been on an absolute tear recently. The 476H, the 477V, both lovely devices, both featuring that beautiful 4x3 screen. But it was about time 16:9 got a bit of love too. One thing they kept from those devices is that all-glass front. And yes, I'm probably one of about 10 people on the planet who genuinely love that design. I'm really glad they kept that same design language here. It's not too dissimilar to the original PS Vita actually. Honestly, it just looks so good. That said, you do need to be very aware that you're holding a device that could shatter if you drop it. Trust me, when you're gaming on this, that is not the moment to suddenly scratch an itch. Put it down first, then scratch. When I first pulled this out of the box, I was actually struck by just how small it is. It's been a while since I held a Vita or a PSP, and I'd honestly forgotten just how compact they were. But holding this one, it takes me right back. This colourway though, I'm a fan of it on the 477V and the 476H. But on this Vita shape, not so much. I think black is the way to go this time. The RG Vita is actually offered in two variants. This one is the standard RG Vita, and then there's the RG Vita Pro, which is the one with a slightly more powerful chipset and more RAM. I don't have the Pro to hand, or the specs, so we'll ignore that one for now. Oh, this is the official Anbernic case for the RG Vita. Slim profile, fits like a glove. Would definitely recommend this if you're actually picking one of these up. Now under the hood though, we've got a Unisoc T618 octa-core processor, the same one you'll find in the 405V. This screen right here is a 5.46 inch IPS in-cell touchscreen. You're getting 3 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, 5000 mAh battery, stereo speakers, 3D Hall effect sticks with lights, stacked triggers that are micro switches, Bluetooth 5.0, 6-axis gyroscope, and Android 12 rounding things off nicely. Oh, it's also got Anbernic's AI features for all you AI lovers out there. Very handy, but not for me. Also, while this back panel looks like the touch panel on the original Sony PS Vita, there's none of that going on here. It's purely cosmetic. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room here. Vita gameplay. The problem is, with this standard version of the RG Vita at least, is it struggles with a significant part of the Vita catalogue, which creates a gap between what it looks like and what it can actually deliver. We're relying on Vita 3K here, and according to their compatibility list, roughly 44% of games are actually considered playable. Because this isn't a native Vita, it's an Android device running an emulator, and that distinction matters. Man, it got me thinking actually, the original PS Vita was so ahead of its time, in terms of performance, build quality, and what it could do on a handheld. Now back to this, you're probably wondering what kind of performance we actually get out of the T618 with Vita games. Let me show you the current state of PS Vita on this thing from my testing.
Systems damaged. Energy low. Rafael Nadal. open your soul to the battle. You win. Lights, camera, action. Now let me tell you about Joe Danger, the movie. Get ready. Lights, camera, action.
So you're going to have to check the compatibility list with Vita 3K to see if the games you want to play actually work here. Now look, the T618 isn't exactly new, but the response time on this sucker is still about as fast as my kids the second I shut off the Wi-Fi. Pretty damn quick. Scrolling through menus and the general operation of this thing is fast and fluid. It tops out at GameCube and PS2. You won't play the entire catalogue, but the ones I tested all seem playable at 1x resolution. Now, you can forget about Switch emulation on this. The T618 is just a no-go on that front. I installed Eden and every game I tried just wouldn't load at all. But for the systems that actually do work on this handheld, it runs flawlessly. Now, putting emulation and compatibility to one side for a moment, the physical experience of actually using this is very good. The weight distribution feels balanced. It's not overly heavy, but it doesn't feel hollow either. The grip is subtle, but it's enough, and that wider 16:9 layout naturally gives your pinkies a bit more room to settle. The sticks feel precise, the triggers are clicky without being distracting, and overall it's pretty comfortable. I've been taking it out for the last couple of days, just gaming whenever I get a moment, and honestly it holds up really well. Whether that's sitting down for a 15-minute session at a coffee shop, or knocking out a few levels on the train home, it just works. Because it's fairly lightweight and slimish, it's no hassle throwing it in your coat pocket either. And that, more than any spec sheet or benchmark, is the kind of thing that makes you actually use a device. So what is the RG Vita really? It's not a true Vita replacement, and it's definitely not a powerhouse. I think the tricky part here is the name. When you call something Vita, and you design it to look almost identical to a PS Vita, it immediately sets an expectation. Now, Vita performance here is limited by the current state of Vita 3K. Some games run well, some don't. And that's simply the reality of where emulation is right now. Logically, there are more powerful devices on the market. There are handhelds that will push further into PS2, Wii, even higher-end systems with fewer compromises. If you're buying it purely for full Vita emulation, you may be disappointed. What it is though is a beautifully designed, nostalgic handheld that absolutely nails PSP with that lovely 16:9 display. It runs Android games and lets you dip your toes into Vita territory without spending a fortune. And honestly, that might be enough for some people. Now, this could be a hot take, but I actually think the PSP catalogue is stronger than a Vita's. And viewed as a PSP focused handheld, this works really well. And this is one of those gaming handhelds you'll actually pick up. And at the end of the day, the best handheld isn't always the most powerful one. It's the one you actually use day in, day out. Just go in with the right expectations, that's all I'll say. Now that wraps up my first impressions of the RG Vita. Not groundbreaking, but genuinely pleasant to use. Time for a cup of tea, I think. And on that note, if you have been, thank you very much for watching.